Who is Barry Allen of the Absolute Universe? This is his origin and a glimpse at his dark secrets, and a look at the Absolute Speed Force. Keystone University, years ago. Barry Allen pushes open his classroom door and drops a stack of papers on the desk. He looks at his students with a sheepish smile. Sorry I'm late. A faculty meeting ran over, and despite popular theories of quantum superposition, I cannot yet be in two places at once, he says. None of the students laugh as they stare at him. What? No points for bad physics jokes? Tough crowd, he says before returning to his lecture on breakthroughs in superconductivity. He turns back to the blackboard, unaware that someone is smiling. Dr. Eleanor Thawne sits in the front row. Later, she knocks and enters Barry's office, asking for a minute of his time. I hope you don't mind this intrusion. I'm a big fan of your work, she says as she introduces herself and shakes his hand. He motions for her to take a seat. I was closely following your work at Princeton with quantum simulation and molecular electron transfer. It was a crime they shut your work down. You were on the cusp of something special, she tells him. But Barry shakes his head. He hasn't been in a lab for nearly 5 years. Dr. Allen, what would you say if I told you I could get you funding, not only to continue your research, but to set you up to make new discoveries far beyond anything you'd imagined? She asks. Barry stares at her for a moment, but finally shakes his head. I'm sorry, but my work was a dead end. Princeton was right to shut me down. Even if I had the resources, I wouldn't continue, he tells her. That's a lie, and we both know it, Eleanor tells him. It's merely what you tell yourself to justify wasting your time and your talent at this second-rate school. Discovery is the most intoxicating drug we have, and I know a recovering addict when I see one. Barry smiles at her. You have a flair for the dramatic, Dr. Thawne, but I still don't know what it is you're even offering, Barry says quietly. Come with me, Dr. Allen. Give me 1 day of your life, and I promise to show you things you've only dreamed possible, she tells him. Soon, Barry is walking through the abandoned Fort Fox with Eleanor as she explains her work. She leads him to a blackboard, which is packed tight with equations. This, Dr. Allen, is my life's work, and my grandfather's, she says before motioning him to a room filled with notebooks. This, Barry, is Blue Trinity. She explains that during the height of World War II, the US government commissioned a secret project that would operate in the shadow of Oppenheimer's atomic tests. The project was led by her grandfather, Eobard Thawne, who claimed that he was on the verge of making contact with another dimension of pure exotic living energy. Eobard's methods were unconventional and eccentric. He claimed that he could hear the energy speaking to him, and many believed that he walked too fine a line between genius and madness. But eventually, he created a machine that could allow him to cross over. One night, alone in the desert, he activated the machine. But his experiment was interrupted by the arrival of Army Captain J. Garrick. Thawne, what the hell are you doing out here? Garrick asked as he got out of his jeep. None of this has been authorized. But Thawne turned to Garrick with a big smile on his face and put his hands on the captain's shoulders. Don't you see, Jay? You're about to bear witness to history. I've done it. I've finally done it, Thawne says as he motions to the machine. Before them, a glowing ball of energy appears. Tendrils of power arc away from the ball, almost reaching for them. Thawne, you need to stop. This feels wrong, Garrick whispers. But Thawne shakes his head and takes a step forward, reaching out for the energy. No! Look! Don't you hear it? It's saying my name, Thawne whispers, as a portal opens. But Garrick pushes past him and rushes for the machine's controls. Garrick, stop! We've come too far, Thawne shouts. He moves to stop the captain and pushes him towards the ball of energy. The tendrils lash out, grabbing hold of Garrick and pulling him in. There is a scream of pain as Garrick is torn apart and disappears. I'm sorry. I couldn't let you take it away from me. I can't let anyone. It's mine, Thawne says as he walks forward. The tendrils wrap around his limbs and pull him into the energy, and he disappears. My grandfather was never seen again, Eleanor says as she finishes her story. But Barry isn't really listening. He is still staring at the equations on the board. This is ridiculous, he whispers. She nods, thinking that he means the story, but Barry shakes his head and reaches out, erasing some of the equations. No, not that. These equations. They're wrong. I'll need my equipment sent over from storage at Princeton, he says as he gets to work. 2 years later, Barry is putting the finishing touches on the protection suit he has created, but he is interrupted by Eleanor entering his lab and introducing him to Colonel West, explaining that the Army will be coming in to fund their new military division on the project. Military? Eleanor, you promised me I'd have autonomy. Barry snaps at her angrily. Eleanor asks the colonel to leave them alone to discuss the issue. Once he's gone, Eleanor turns back to Barry. This is how we continue to get the funding we need to complete our work, Barry, she says as she motions to the machine in the next chamber. Far beyond what her grandfather had created. What we are doing here is so far beyond what the government can comprehend. We give them a few new toys, and in return, they let us change history. That seems like a small price to pay, she tells him. She motions to the protection suit, asking if Barry is almost done and ready for the first trial. Just fine-tuning the protective gear. I'll be ready to take the team in by the end of the week, he tells her. But Eleanor shakes her head, explaining that it is too dangerous for the lead scientist to lead the first team to the other side. Barry grows angry at the thought of not going, pointing out that the protection suits will work. Once we're sure that everything is safe, then we both go in. Together, Barry, she promises. Later, Barry heads to the Fort Fox Chow Hall, where he finds a young Wally West. Barry sits and introduces himself. You must be Colonel West's son. Just met your dad. Seems like a barrel of laughs, Barry says as he takes a bite of his apple. The two strike up a conversation as Barry explains to Wally that he was also a military kid. Moved around all the time until he finally went to college. Where did you go? Wally asks. MIT, Barry tells him, explaining that he fell in love with math. Ugh, I hate math and science, Wally says as he makes a face. But Barry smiles, explaining that everything is just math when you boil it down. You're kind of a weird guy, Dr. Allen, Wally tells him. Barry smiles and stands as he finishes his meal. Takes one to know one, kid. I'll see you around, Wally, Barry says as he walks out, leaving Wally to go back to his lunch and enjoy his music. Later, the first trial has begun. Barry has activated the machine and opened a portal to the other side. He monitors the team as they step through the portal. On the other side, they are shocked to find another world, where the strange red energy seems to move around them. It's everywhere, Dr. Allen, the lead scientist whispers. Barry nods, ordering them to start gathering samples, but the team is still. Their eyes widen in shock at what they see. What is it? Eleanor asks over the radio. I don't think we're the first ones here, the team leader whispers as the team stares at the alien craft they've found. Later, Barry and Eleanor are staring at the ship after it has been brought to Fort Fox. Eleanor is discussing the other projects inside Fort Fox, but Barry doesn't care. That's none of my business, Eleanor. None of this is why you brought me here. I want to go in. I want to start harvesting some of the red matter, he tells her. Eleanor nods at him. Soon, Barry. The away team has almost finished transporting all the alien tech and specimens across. They are a boon we never expected. It buys us time to study energy. Learn what we can before we risk bringing it back here, she reminds him. We need to be very careful, Barry, or we will end up just like my grandfather, destroyed by the very thing he coveted, she continues. Barry finally nods in agreement and heads back to his lab. He stands in the shadows and stares at the machine. He closes his eyes and rubs his forehead, but suddenly there is a voice whispering his name. Barry looks up as tendrils of the red energy begin to snake around the room, reaching for him. Barry reaches out for it and grazes it with his finger, making contact. His eyes widen and begin to glow, and a being appears before him, wearing one of the protective suits. Help! Stop! You must stop! Wally! It must be Wally West! There is suddenly a pop of energy, and the room is silent. Barry is alone once more. And that was the complete story for Absolute Flash, Issue 8 by Jeff Lemire. Crazy revelations about the Absolute Barry Allen and the Absolute Speed Force. But what did you think? Let me know in the comments below. And like and subscribe for notifications of new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I'm Dan with Comicstorian, and we will see you next time. Rest in peace, Benny.